Hi, well I'm at Mallock today and we're going across to Kinloch Castle, so that's on the Isle of Rum, and we're going to get a ferry boat over there and have a good look round. It's an old Edwardian like hunting lodge, and it featured on the BBC programme Restoration several years ago as a place in need of some help. So it'll be very interesting to see what it's like. The Rum's quite a small island on the west coast of Scotland in the inner Hebrides, and Kinloch Castle itself was built by a wealthy industrialist at the turn of the century, so completed about 1900, and all the materials were imported to build it, which is quite amazing. It's now actually a nature reserve around the castle, and it is a lovely area as you walk up to the castle. There really is lovely scenery to admire. As we approached the castle, we actually saw some sea eagles circling above us, absolutely huge. Here's a map of the island. It's fairly rough terrain. In the 7th and 8th century, Christian hermits lived on the island, and nowadays there's a small community in the village of Kinloch itself. Here's some views of the outside of the castle, and from a distance it actually looks pretty good. It's only when you get up closer that you realise what a poor state of repair it's in. And that's partly because it's got a steel frame and that's rusting away, and it is literally crumbling. Scottish National Heritage have spent some money on sorting out the roof and doing a few other essential repairs, but it is in a very, very sorry state. Here's the grand entrance hall, and it is mightily impressive. Really is typical of a hunting lodge with lots of hunting trophies and beautiful stained glass. And I must say, as you know, I have a weakness for stained glass and I love seeing it. Here's the lady of the castle, a little portrait there of her. No expense was spared, and just coming into view will be a Japanese monkey-eating eagle, which really dominates the room and looks rather fearsome, but it is rather impressive at the same time. Closer view here of Lady Buller. And here's a portrait of George Buller. This is the dining room, and again, more lovely stained glass. The Bullers had a ship which actually was used as a hospital ship during the First World War. But what's quite interesting, in the dining room, the chairs are ones which had come off the ship. And if you look carefully at their bases, you'll see there's a little screw hole there, a bolt hole, so that the chairs could be bolted down to the deck. Quite enjoyed seeing their game book. You learn a lot about the visitors and the kind of people, all very privileged people in society, who visited the castle for fairly small intimate parties actually, and a record there of what they had caught and where. The billiards room, again, different stained glass but quite a nice plain one here. And this is Lady Monica Buller's drawing room. She had a collection of birds which she had alive, but they all died when the heating failed once, so she put them in cabinets. This is the ballroom, and it had a most magnificent ceiling and gallery, but rather sorry for state of wear with damp and everything. As we walked around, the genteel decay of wallpaper flaking off became very apparent. It's a shame really. One hopes it will get more funding and get restored. This is Lady Monica's room, and here they have actually exposed some of the steel structure of the building, and you can see how it's rusting away and literally just decaying. I guess it would be a money pit. I mean, at the time when it was built, no expense was spared, and here's a rather interesting, rather innovative plumbing, certainly for its day. A very elaborate shower and bath arrangement here, and it must have been terribly exciting. Here's an upstairs view looking down into the grand entrance area, and these are rather rare vases all over the place, interesting, rather unique items which were collected on their world travels. It was certainly a very interesting insight into a very privileged lifestyle, and when we had finished looking around the castle, we went to look at the early settlements of the village here and the rather now derelict buildings, but lovely fresh air and lovely green lichen everywhere. And you can imagine in times gone by people walking through and cooking their bread in these little fires and living in these little houses. A lovely setting, but terrible midges everywhere biting one, so I don't think that would be quite so nice to have to put up with. Looking out to sea, we got a glimpse of a seal just bobbing its head, and then the boat came to take us home. But it's a great trip, well worth seeing, thoroughly recommend it. I hope you enjoyed that look around Kinloch Castle. Certainly enjoyed it, and thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.